Good afternoon. Welcome to Mosaic Research Plot here in Orangeville. It's a beautiful sunny day, August 20th, 2020, and we're doing a bit of a video here with Aaron Stefanis with Mosaic. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Yeah, I'm Aaron Stefanis. I'm the technical sales manager for Mosaic company covering Eastern Canada, and Shane and I are here to have a little discussion on potassium, balanced crop nutrition, and the importance of boron with potassium fertility and balanced crop nutrition in general.
And does Mosaic have a homogeneous potash boron product that's good for all of our growers that are watching this today?
Wow, geez, yeah, you give me a plug like that. Absolutely, we do. We have a product called Aspire. And so what's Aspire? So if you take regular muriate of potash, MOP 0060, which is produced right here in Canada in Saskatchewan, what we do is we take that product and we add boron to it. And in that boron, we have two forms of boron. We have a sodium borate, which is a fast-release boron. Essentially, any granular or liquid boron in general that we have in the industry is sodium borate. The other half of it is calcium borate. And so calcium borate is a slower release boron. The idea of that is we get, if you apply it in the spring, a season-long availability, and if we apply it in the fall, it allows boron to be available in the spring. When we add that to the product, it drops the potassium a little bit because we need to displace it a little bit, adding something extra. So it's a 0058 with 0.5% of boron, and once again, that 0.5% is both calcium borate and sodium borate.
Yeah, so Aaron, back in the days when I started in agronomy, it seemed like boron was a necessity in canola for sure to kind of extend and enhance that flower window, and then another for sure in an alfalfa crop in terms of the same type situation. Where else do you guys see boron being a fit in today's marketplace?
That's a great question. Absolutely, Shane. And you're right. So if you look at the low-hanging fruit of boron, it's always been, canola, alfalfa, even potatoes and vegetable crops. They were always kind of that low-hanging fruit of boron. Now, as our crop demand and yields continue to go up, we're seeing that those micronutrients, macronutrients, a whole bunch of nutrients that we've never really thought of or maybe didn't put as much of a focus on, we need in larger quantities, because as that demand goes up, as yield goes up, so does that demand for that nutrition. So I would say boron is definitely going to be something we need to look at. And also, our soil test levels are going down as well. So it's something that we really need to focus on.
Well, we at Homes Agro find that the Aspire product also offers the opportunity to get boron across more exchange sites on the soil, as opposed to a 10% product or a liquid product that when you're putting on a pound to 2 pounds actual in an application, it doesn't offer the opportunity to disperse that boron in a homogeneous fashion across more exchange sites, like I said, that Aspire does.
Oh, you're 100% bang on. And even if we look at, say, this corn crop that's beside us here, even if you look at it in the sense of, say, that, like that 10% of blend, even if you were to take 10 plants along the side here, that means just one of them would be getting boron. Where if we look at Aspire, all 10 of those plants will get that same availability boron, which will help towards yield. But then also some of the research that we've done with Dr. Çekmek of the University of Turkey, he did a soil solution. So he did hydroponics growing with canola plants and looking at potassium in solution and then adding boron to that solution. So when we have potassium in solution, we can easily measure how much of it goes into the plant because the concentration of potassium decreases. But when we add boron, we can check to see how much potassium decreases as well. So essentially that rate of uptake into the plant based on what's in the solution. So when we add boron to that potassium solution, we actually see a dramatic increase in uptake of potassium, and we base that because the concentration of that solution drops. So we know it's going into the plant. So boron is very synergetic with potassium to help get into the plant. So then when we're doing that across all 10 plants, that example I gave, that potassium is more efficient in all those plants as well.
I agree with you, Aaron. And when you look at nutrient partitioning in a plant or any crop, for that matter, it is important to have nutrient availability to the plant, for the entire duration of its life cycle, right from, when that seed gets in the ground to maturity. And we don't know exactly what the environmental conditions or climates are going to be. You don't 100% know. I mean, you have a yield goal, but ensuring that there's enough availability, enough opportunity for that plant to utilize that nutrition throughout the growing season, you have to have what you would call a sufficient amount. In our soils here with high mags, high calcium, certainly can't stress enough the value of potash. As a system every fall and spring, zone placed with your strip till machine in your planter, corn planter or bean planter. It's an very important component to crop production.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. That balanced crop nutrition on potassium, it's truly one of the key elements, especially in a year like this with drought. As we were talking earlier, you had saw some potassium deficiency in soybeans and great crop fertility plan, but maybe the demand for that crop with the higher yield, maybe a little bit lack of moisture getting into the plant, we're seeing deficiencies, and so maybe we need to look at that fertility plan a little stronger as our yields go up.
I also want to talk about application timing.
Yep.
So now you've reformulated this Aspire situation to have boron that's going to be, sort of that stretch opportunity that regardless of when you apply it, spring or fall, you're going to get that boron inclusion available for next year's crop. But we found, and I think a lot of growers would agree with me, that fall application of potash, in your continual system of trying to maintain or keep those potash levels where they need to be, fall versus spring is, arguably there's some pros and cons, but we tend to think it's a great opportunity to get a job out of the way. But at the same token, get opportunity for full return on your investment in next year's crop season.
Yep. No, I couldn't agree more. And I like what you said on the job too, because it's always, springs are always nuts. We never know what's going to happen weather-wise, and so if we can get that efficiency of getting some of those nutrients and being within our 4R parameters, that's a really good thing. So the cool thing about Aspire is because we had those two forms, that calcium borate is still available at fall, in the spring, at fall application. So we did this to test this. We did a little trial with corn in the U.S. and Canada. So we applied muriate of potash in the fall and Aspire in the fall, and essentially took it to yield. We also did it in spring to see there was a spread in the difference. Taking it to yield, the fall application, muriate of potash over an untreated check, so was 5 bushels. So 5 bushel advantage putting muriate of potash in the fall. That makes sense. We're not only helping with our crop fertility, our soil bank, but we're also getting yield out of it, good ROI. When we did Aspire, same rate, we got 9 bushels, so a 4 bushel yield advantage over muriate of potash. So we're seeing that well-distributed boron have an effect in the next year, and that's because of that calcium borate. So the spring application was slightly higher. So there is a benefit to applying in the spring, but if it's looking at that efficiency, you want to get a job done. Say you're not only planting corn and soybeans, wheat, but you're planting potatoes, you might be planting alfalfa. There's a whole bunch of things that need to get done in the spring, spraying. So if we can just push that into the fall, that's one less thing to check off the checklist. And like you said, great ROI. You're getting a payback.
Aaron, you talked about some research involving corn and potatoes for this Aspire, but also like to, we have some soybean growers out there that are always trying to push that yield bar, get to that new plateau. We're maybe going to see some record yields in this area this year, so obviously we're going to have some Mother Nature's going to have to help us, but we've got some big shoes to fill. It does start with nutrition. We're including a lot of boron in soybean blends to try and, again, similar to that canola, that legume situation. Enhance some nodulation, get a healthier root system in place. Boron does that for us.
Absolutely.
Increasing flower set, and then increasing the number of pods that develop from that flower set. So we've always said when we talk to growers and you do the yield loss situation in a manual from any color combine, and it's, 4 beans per square foot equals a bushel. So in reality, if we can find an opportunity to produce 1 or 2 or 3 more flowers per square foot, our yield opportunities are exponential.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the one thing I really liked what you said on there is that placement, like starter fertilizer. Boron is the best place for boron to get in the plant is through the root, because it's a mobile nutrient, comes in with mass flow, but also it doesn't partition in the plant. So you look at those graphs by Ross Bender that you had mentioned earlier. That doesn't move from the leaf into the pod. It's essentially where it is. So if we can get it up through the root and get good amounts of it, then we're going to have better utilization of that boron within the plant to do exactly what you said. If we can get better roots, if we can get better pod set, more pods in there, like you said, 4 in a square foot, we could even get 16 extra in a square foot, that's more bushels in the bin for you.
Good. Hey, we've also had some lengthy chats over the years with guys like Greg Patterson from NL Labs, and there has been dialogue that boron toxicity, like how much is the right amount. Are we even getting close to worrying about toxicity with boron?
That's a great question. And so we found with Aspire specifically, because originally when it came out, as a company, we were afraid of that. We weren't sure where that boron toxicity would fit in. But what we found is some of the work we've done specifically here in Ontario, we do a great job of, say, banding in soybeans, fertility in soybeans, is that you're going to have more burn from the potash, so the salt index of the potassium, than you are of the boron. So really, it's and probably has to do with that 2 forms, but I think we can push maybe a little bit of research has to be done on how far we can push if we're going to see some toxicities. It's still a micronutrient, you need to be careful, but I think we can push maybe a little harder than we have in the past.
Well, and I talked about nutrient partitioning before, so we're talking amount of boron for a bigger crop. Yep. So when we want to have crop response from micronutrients like boron, you have to push it to the limits in order to capitalize on the opportunity. Going halfway is maybe don't bother at all.
Yeah, it's like running out of gas on your family vacation. You don't want that headache.
Cheers, Aaron. Stay hydrated. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.